Now they die. I am your worst nightmare. This'll be a slaughter. As you wish.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are playing Tryndamere today, a late game scaling split pushing machine. He's really designed to destroy people in those 1 versus 1s. He just wants to be split pushing the entire game. So for his passive, he has this Fury bar. Whenever he attacks, then he gets this Fury, and if he crits, then he gets the double amount of Fury. And what this Fury does is that it gives you bonus crit chance. So when you have this Fury bar fully stacked up, then it can give you 40% crit just from this passive alone. So you can get some really lucky crits in the early game, and if you do, then you're going to straight up win the fight. And then we have your E, which is the spin that works as your mobility spell, but it also deals damage to all targets that you hit. And if you crit something, then the cooldown of this ability will be reduced, and if you crit an enemy champion, then it's going to be reduced even more. And in the later stages, there's going to be almost no cooldown on this ability when you get a lot of crit chance and also ability haste. Your Q is the ability that gives you AD, and it also works as sustain. And the sustain scales with your passive, so the more fury you have, the more health you're going to get back. So this combined with the runes in the result tree is going to give you so much sustain, guys. And that's actually what makes Tryndamere really OP in the mid lane as well, because even if people poke you down, you can always go for the Doran's shield and second wind in the result tree and combine that with your Q, and you're gonna have perma sustain. Your W is one of the most OP non-ultimate abilities in the game, so when people have their back turned against you and you use it, then you're going to slow them if they're enemy champs. And not only that, guys, the moment you use that W, people are also going to lose AD temporarily for like 4 seconds. And that is something people really underestimate for some reason, because it makes Tryndamere so OP in fights. Like, he can completely destroy those AD champs. So they don't need to be like, they don't need to turn their back against you for them to lose the AD, but they will only get slowed if they are not facing towards you. So that's important to know. So when you have like 1 point in your W, then it's going to reduce the AD by 20 points. And then when you have this W fully maxed out, they're going to lose 80. So that's absolutely insane. That makes such a big difference when you fight AD carries, because they're going to have so much less AD. So how you want to fight with Tryndamere is that before you go for a fight, try to stack up that Fury bar. Like, the champion is really simple to play, like extremely simple. He does not have any difficult mechanics. So before fighting, stack up that Fury bar, because that gives you a lot of crit chance. And if you crit people in a fight, then of course you know you're going to deal so much more damage. So try to stack it up. You're playing against the Jax this game. He's known as a pretty good counter to the Tryndamere. So if you notice, what I've been doing this entire laning phase is that when his E is up, I immediately go in to bait it out, and then the moment he uses it, I just E out. And then you can look for an all-in. That's what you want to do. You want to play around the most dangerous ability the opponent has. You want to try to bait it out. In this case, when Jax uses his E, I just E out myself, and then I can look for a re-engage. This is what you have to keep doing, and you're gonna out sustain them as well, because you have insane amount of sustain with your Q, and you don't use any mana. Jax is forced to use mana every single time he uses his abilities, so he's gonna run low on health, and he's also gonna run low on mana. So that's what you really want to abuse, and when you have a fully stacked Fury bar, then you can just use their Q, and you're going to heal up for a lot more. And there we go, we got that ultimate. This is what Tryndamere is known for. So it makes him unkillable for short duration. So of course you want to use this when you're really low HP and when you're about to die, because it makes you unkillable, and then you get some extra time to like damage people and win the fight. And not only that, it also makes it so you get that Fury instantly. Really OP ability, guys. This is what Tryndamere is known and hated for. This is also what makes him one of the strongest 1 versus 1 champs in the game. Like, he should be able to destroy every single champion in the game in a 1 versus 1 because of this ultimate. He has absolutely insane amount of damage, and because of this ultimate, he also becomes unkillable. He has a slow on his W that also reduces the AD of the opponent, and then he also has a lot of mobility with his E. So it's a champion designed to be a really strong split pusher. He can do well in team fights. Like, he's not designed to be strong in team fights, but because of his W, then he can also do well there. But just keep in mind that people will be trying to kite you a lot. Because it's pretty easy to kite when there are multiple people around, but in a 1 versus 1 or 1 versus 2 is a lot harder. You can see what I did right here is that I waited for Jax to use the C and then I just all in him. We have lethal tempo, guys. It's absolutely insane. You get so much attack speed, and of course, as I said, champions are not able to match your DPS in a 1 versus 1. So just pop that ghost, and then if the target is trying to run away, just W them and they'll be slowed, and they will also lose the AD. So super easy to catch people because you have double mobility summon spells. You have the flash and you have the ghost. That's gonna make it almost impossible for anyone to escape, especially in the mid to late game, because that's why you have almost no cooldown on your abilities. They're just gonna run people down. So we have the tier 2 boots. That's what you want to get first. A lot of attack speed and also mobility. And then you want the mythic item. You have a couple options to choose from here. You have the Kraken Slayer. That's the one that gives you the most amount of damage and attack speed. And then you have Gale Force, which gives you some extra mobility and some extra burst damage as well. So you can build any of these 2 items, but that is pretty much only what you build on Tryndamere. You do not want to go for the shield bow. You don't need those stats. You want damage. Tryndamere wants damage or mobility. Just E out when he uses his E, and then you can like run him down. And if you crit, of course, then people are going to lose almost instantly. That's why crit is also a very important stat, but you don't need as much crit compared to other champs because of that Fury passive. So always try to stack up the passive before you fight. You do that by hitting minions and such. Try like to E through the entire minion wave, because then you get it stacked up a lot faster. And just run people down, guys. The champion is really simple to play. It's really hard to mess up on him as well. And it's a champ that's going to outscale most champs in the game. So even if you lose the early game, if you're placed in a difficult matchup, you're still going to scale a lot better. It's just a champ that wants to like AFK in the silence and just split push over and over. It's like really annoying to play against. He has a really toxic playstyle as a split pusher where they're just AFK, and if the enemy laner like the Jax tries to roam bot or something, you just keep pushing the top side, take down the tower plates and even the towers, and that's going to tilt them so much. So because of his ultimate that makes him unkillable for short duration, he's also very strong as a tower diver. Yeah, you can really like dive your opponent if you time it well. Like stack up that Fury bar, make sure that you hit them with a W slow, so even if they flash away, they're still going to be slowed, so you can easily catch back up. But it is one of the easiest champs to play in the game, guys. So if you like his playstyle, then it's a champion that I can highly recommend that you pick up. Very strong right now. He's S tier, actually OP right now, as you can see by his win rates. And you can see Jax going down just like that. That is the amount of damage that you have. And this is only the early game. It's going to get so much better as soon as you get your items. There we go. And we're also getting a free red buff. Of course, top lane is completely over for them. They are not able to do anything anymore. So just keep pushing. Our bot lane is getting stomped this game. That was a pretty unfortunate game for our bot lane. But we did really well in the top side, and I'm going to show you exactly how you want to carry on the Tryndamere. You don't want to be grouping a lot, even if your teammates are losing, because he gets kited pretty easily in team fights, but it's very hard to kite him in the side lane. Still don't have enough gold for the Gale Force, but as soon as we have that item, that is going to be such a big spike. You can go for either the Gale Force or the Kraken Slayer. I like to do both, it really depends. If I'm against the squishy team guys, then I think that the mobility is a lot more important. But if I'm against like a bruiser heavy or tank heavy comp, then I like to go for Kraken Slayer because of that true damage. So your E works as a really good wave clear, especially when you max it out. And then of course every single time you crit, the cooldown is also going to be lowered, so that's OP wave clear on a very low cooldown while also being OP mobility spell. Just keep split pushing in the side lane, take down the tower plates, and just keep pushing to the tier 2. Really try to be as annoying as a split pusher as you possibly can. You can trade with people under the tower easily, but when you do so, like when you're not going for the dive and you're just trading, a really OP way of doing that, guys, is that when your minions are under the enemy tower, what you want to do is that the moment the tower is about to attack your minions, that's when you get one auto attack off on the enemy champion, and then you E out. And make sure that that E damage also procs on the enemy champ. That's like the most OP way that you trade with Tryndamere when the opponent is under their own tower. This is something you always have to do. This is how you like slowly will the opponent down, like put them to low HP, and then you can look for the dive with the ultimate. Now we took down the tower in the top side, so the base or the top side is pretty much open, and then you can just invade the enemy jungle. Also make sure that you take away the camps. This is how you get high CS numbers, and this is also how you put the enemy jungle behind. This is going to tilt them so much. Like, it's going to tilt them so much. You can also look for roams. Your W is actually really good for roaming. But just make sure that they are not facing towards you. Like you want them to have their backs turned towards you, because that's how you get the slow. And that's how, even if they flash away, you can still like chase them down. So this game we stomped the top laner, but their bot lane stomped ours. So it's pretty even game. We're still a bit far behind this game. It's not that even because our bot lane ran it down. So the Ezreal is really super fed. We have a 0-7 AD carry. And you know Ezreal, the tankiest AD carry in the game, because he can go for tank items like the Death Stance and the Frozen Heart. Which makes it really difficult for Tryndamere to like shut him down. So I'm going to show you exactly how I carried this game, because we stomped top lane, but our bot lane got stomped, so if you look at it that way, then it's pretty even. You have to be really good with the macro and know what you have to do on the map. You really want to pressure the opponent as much as possible, and the only way you can do that on Tryndamere is that you keep split pushing. You keep split pushing, so you force people to recoil and come defend against you. And that's when you look for those solo kills. You can see that Ezreal getting extremely fat. We have to try to push our lead in the top lane, guys, so really want to dive this Jax, but you also want to make sure that he's eased down. Because if it is up, then he's going to like... then we're going to deal almost no damage, because most of our damage comes from auto attacks, and his E is going to block it out. So make sure that you bait it out first. And we got the other tower here, and they're pushing for our base towers. There's like a base race at the moment. I'm just getting into the enemy jungle, also taking away the camps, because this Nidalee is perma-ganging the bot lane. If you try to gang us top lane, I would just kill them in a 1 versus 2, so that's why she's prioritizing the mid and bot side. And that is what you should be doing if you're playing jungle. So all the top towers are down, they only have the base tower left. And if you really want to help out your teammates, because otherwise if I did not move for it guys, then the Ezreal would just take down the base tower and then we would just be completely screwed. So this way I also managed to help out my teammates right here. I took down the top side and then I just roamed bot, tried to pick up a kill. Tryndamere has a lot of mobility with the Gale Force, so even if it is a mobile champion like the Ezreal, you can still pull off those roams. So if you want to impact the map, this is the way you have to do it, especially if they're pushing towards your base tower 17 minutes in the game. You can see this damage and mobility is absolutely insane, because your E comes off cooldown faster. When you proc it on enemy champs, it comes off even faster than compared to hitting or critting minions. And now we have even more mobility, even lower cooldowns on the basic abilities because of Navori Quick Blade's passive, but also giving a lot of ability hits and AD. This is like the perfect second item you buy on Tryndamere after boots and the mythic item. So like as soon as you have this Navori Quick Blades, Tryndamere becomes a Beyblade. Like he's gonna perma-spin and you cannot escape from him. Like it is so fun to play Tryndamere at this stage of the game. It is absolutely impossible to escape from him in a side lane. It does not matter who it is. You have so much mobility, you have slows as well. People cannot match that. Just keep pushing in the silence, really try to pressure the opponents as much as possible. You want to like force them to come defend against you, because that is how you're going to carry. You see there are already multiple people in the top side, and that is how you want to pressure. See, that damage is absolutely insane. Unfortunately, we did end up dying right here, but now we have another OP item, and this is the only armor pin item that you want to go for. You do not want to buy the Lord Dominic's. The reason this is OP, guys, you get a lot of armor pin and AD ability hits, but more importantly, you get that slow on the abilities. So every single time you spin on people, they're going to be slowed. So now you have a slow with your W, but you also have a slow on your E. And as you already know, at this point, there's no cooldown on your E. So you have perma slow on people, now it's even more impossible to escape. So this is why Tryndamere is so OP at this point, like this season. And last season as well. Of course, he also has the lethal tempo for insane amount of attack speed. But he's so strong in a 1 versus 1, like he's gonna destroy everybody, and at the same time, he also makes it impossible for people to escape, and then he has that ultimate, so he can always dive somebody. They are never safe under their own towers. That Ezreal is also dealing a ridiculous amount of damage. He's also extremely fed like I am, and you know when an Ezreal gets fed, almost unkillable, high mobility, and just perma pokes with low cooldown on Q. Just keep try to like salvage the game, you know. Try to get the Ezreal. He's the fed target they have on their team, so that's the person that you want to shut down. That's like the main priority that you have. Is that if you are in a team fight, you want to go for the squishy target. In this case, that would be the Ezreal, because he's the one that's solo carrying their game at the moment. So if you take him out, then your teammates should be able to win. So even though you're a split pusher, if your teammates are getting destroyed this hard, then you will be forced to group. Because otherwise, the enemy players would just kill your teammates and then they will take down your base. So you can group on Tryndamere, but still be careful because he's pretty easy to kite, and that's his problem in a team fight. They can easily kite him in team fights, you know, like poke him down, but they cannot do that in the side lane. So you can group with your team and such, but your main priority should always be to split push in the side lanes. You want to try to force people to come defend against you. Our teammates are having a really rough game this time around. So the game was really difficult. But the power of Tryndamere in the late game, like it's a solid 1 versus 9 champ. If you really want to carry everything by yourself, then this is the perfect champ. And what makes it even better is the fact that he's so easy to play. Like he has no difficult mechanics. The champion is super easy. It is something anyone can pick up. If you're learning the game, like if you're a super new player or just want to find a new champ for the top or mid lane, and it has to be a split pusher, then Tryndamere is the perfect choice. Now, what makes Tryndamere pretty decent in teamfights is his W. Like you can slow the entire enemy team while also taking out the 80 points. And when we have this W fully maxed out, then it is going to be 80 points that the opponents will lose. And remember, what's really important here is the fact that you do not put any points into your ultimate before you have maxed out the W and the E. The reason for that is that every single time you put a point into your ultimate, it is not going to give you that much compared to if you put a point into your W or your E. Like the cooldown of your ultimate is only going to be reduced by a few seconds. And it makes it so you get more fury. That's it. But when you put points into your W and your E guys, that is so much better. That's a lot more damage. That's why you want to do it. Because you already get a lot of ability haste, so your ultimate is going to be on a low cooldown anyways. So make sure that you never put any more points into your ultimate after the first one at level 6. Because you want to prioritize maxing out the W and the E first, because they are way better abilities after you already have 1 point into your ultimate. That is super important, so make sure that you always remember that at level 11 and 16. Make sure that you prioritize the W and E over your ultimate. So our teammates started to do a bit better at this point in the game, because we managed to shut down the Ezreal. He's like the main target we have in this game. He's the super fair player that we want to shut down. As long as we can take him down, then we can secure the objectives and then we can push for the end. So luckily we did manage to get the Baron right here. That is absolutely huge. Because if the Ezreal got the Baron, then he would be able to end the game. Like, he's impossible to take down in a team fight if he positions well. We can take him down in the side lane, but when he groups with his teammates, he's really mobile, and he also has teammates to peel for him. So if possible, we really want to make or force him to come to the side lane, because that is where we can like chase him down. Now we have like the big damaging items. We have all the core components. We have the mythic item, we have the Namori quick blades, we have the armor pen item, and we have the infinity edge. So now our damage is absolutely insane. We're gonna shred anyone in a 1 versus 1. So really want to abuse those powers in the side lanes, but sometimes you're just forced to group. And when you are, you can't really do anything about it, guys, because if your teammates keep getting caught, then you have no choice but to group up, otherwise the opponents will end the game. You can see what Tryndamere can do, guys. This is his potential. He's gonna shred anyone as long as he can get on top of them. So this is what you want to do. He's really hard to kite because he's a Beyblade at this point in the game, meaning that there's no cooldown on his E, so you can just keep perma-spinning to people. Even if they flash away or use any other movement ability, you're still gonna chase them down. Unfortunately, our entire team did end up dying right here, except for me, so we still lost the fight, so that's of course a bit unfortunate. But really have to look for a good fight where we can take down the Yeagerlol, because last fight he flashed away, otherwise he would have died and then we would have won the fight. So our main goal is the AD carry this game. I really have to analyze the enemy team comp. And then as Tryndamere, because you have that ultimate and that mobility, you just want to go straight for that main carry. Just ignore everybody else and just run down the Yeagerlol. Because if you can take him down, then your team is gonna win. He's the only one like keeping them in the game, and also the reason that they are that far ahead. So we have the Baron minions because they're still buff on me, that's about to expire soon. But really make sure that you boost that, in this case trying to take down the tower or something, getting something out of it. Because every single small lead is going to matter at this point in the game, especially because we are getting into the later stages of the game. Meaning that the respawn timers will be a lot higher, and when they are, if you manage to take down the towers, then maybe you can go for the end on the next attempt. So I died here, which was really unfortunate, because if I die, then it means that the opponent will be able to push for the objectives. I'm the only one keeping my team in the game, and Yeagerlol is the one keeping them in the game. So what makes it really hard for people to take down Yeagerlol is the fact that he can build a lot of damage while also building tank items. This game he has a frozen heart. A frozen heart makes it really difficult for auto attackers to take him down. While having that item, he's also really mobile, and he has a perma slow on his Q because of the armor pin item. So it's really hard to shut down. So they want to take me down, because if they do so, then they can break open the base, and we want to take down the Yeagerlol. So I had to find a way to like put him down, because as long as we make sure to do that, then the entire game is open for us. We can do whatever we want to. So our main goal right here, guys, is that I want to save the ghost if possible. I want to save the summoners and the ultimate to take down the Yeagerlol, because if we can do that, then we can end the game. But if they take down me, then we're gonna lose it. You really have to find the most important player on the enemy team, and you just want to run straight towards him. When you have a ghost up and you have your Gale Force, then it becomes so hard for the opponent to like do anything towards you. You can see we got exhausted and people are really trying to focus us down. Luckily Echo did manage to take down the Yeagerlol, so they are not able to end the game here. Because if that Yeagerlol survived, then it would have been GG's for us. So even though you want to split push as much as possible, if those ARAMs start in the mid lane, then you have to be grouped. You can't do anything about it. Because you cannot trust your teammates, they will get caught. It's going to happen almost every single game. So the easiest way to ensure that they are not getting caught over and over is to group up. Now our AD carry also started to do well, which is of course absolutely huge, because now we can actually play as a team. Our Caitlyn is really fed right now, meaning that we can start grouping up, and what we want to do is that we want to take down the main objectives and then we want to push for the end, and the only way we can do that is by taking down the main carry on the enemy team. In this case that is the Yeagerlol. But they had multiple members down this game here right now, meaning that we can go for another free Baron. Normally I do split push as much as possible, but when your teammates are getting caught that often, guys, then a lot of times it's better to just group up. Just make sure that you actually have your ultimate up, because Tryndamere without the ultimate up in a fight is going to get focused down and you're gonna die in like a split second. So make sure that your ultimate is always up when you go for a team fight. If you don't have it up, then just split push. Don't try to force any fights. So now another big objective is coming up, and that is the soul for the opponent, because they already had 3 drakes. And this one is actually really annoying because it is the one that makes them a lot tankier, given that shield and also that passive from the mountain drake is of course huge on Yeagerlol because he builds a lot of resistances, so that's going to make it even harder for us to do anything about the Yeagerlol. So luckily we did manage to get the drake right here, and now what we had to do is get out because I don't have the ultimate up. And people still try to fight it. That's of course a bit unfortunate because we just wanted to take down the Yeagerlol, but we failed at it. He's alive and he managed to kill 3 members of our team. What we have to wait for now is I get my ultimate up, my ghost as well, and then we just want to focus down the Yeagerlol. Like, that is the only target that we have right now as the Tryndamere. Because they're not able to kill us when we have the ultimate up, so we just want to take him down. And right now it does not matter if we're trading 1 for 1. It does not matter if I die as long as I take down the Yeagerlol. Because we have a Lulu and a Kaylin and a Samira, so they're really good in team fights, and even the Echo. So as long as we take down their AD carry, then our teammates can end. We're just trying to pick off the overextended targets. In this case it was the Hecarim, because when we take him down, then they cannot go for team fights because they don't have one of the frontliners anymore. And I used that Gale Force to check for him to cancel his recall, and now he's gonna die because you cannot escape a Tryndamere in the side lane, not even as Hecarim. So just push it down from the bottom side. Because we saw the Yeagerlol on the minimap, he was like visible for a short duration. And then we just have to run him down, because if we take him down, then we can end the game. We can see that he was isolated, so what we decided to do is that Kaylin wanted to flank, I just ran him down with the ghost and hit him with a W. That was absolutely crucial because he got slowed. Even if he flashes away, you can see we're gonna shred him. And that's GG's. That is how you play Tryndamere, guys. I really hope this was helpful. As always, thanks for watching and see you all in the next one.